Good evening. Today I'm going to talk about the tragic incident which happened in Ladakh last week. 5 soldiers of an Indian tank regiment got swept away in the Shyok River at night 7 days ago. The tragedy raises many questions. 1. Was the tragedy avoidable? 2. Could the 5 have been rescued? 3. Were lessons of previous such tragedies imbibed? Before I go further, let me give you the basic details of what happened. According to the information given out in a statement by Headquarters 14 Corps, which looks after the defense of the area, the tragedy occurred when the troops were de-inducting from a military exercise. This exercise required crossing the Shyok River and crossing it back. The tank got stuck in the Shyok River near Brangsha in eastern Ladakh due to a sudden increase in the water level of the river. Though the Shyok River gets very narrow and deep at places, this particular part of the river near Brangsha is quite wide, as the Google images show. A rescue squad comprising 9 combat engineers attempted a rescue mission in a boat assault universal type. This is a unique boat used by the Army engineers. The boat too capsized and its crew had to be rescued with great difficulty. As the rescue mission did not succeed, the 5 soldiers on the tank lost their lives. I have pieced together more information on what exactly happened. The incident involved a tank of an armored regiment, which is amongst the 2 armored regiments deployed in Ladakh. The other tank regiment is deployed further east towards Cheshul. The tank which got stuck in the Shyok River is T-72 of Russian origin, which has a crew of 3, a commander, a gunner, and a driver. Since it is about 45 tons in weight, T-72 falls in the medium tanks category. The tank has a 3-man crew, so obviously the other 2 men who also drowned must have been standing on the sides of the tank while the river was being crossed at about 7 p.m. on the fateful evening. The 5 stood on the turret of the tank for nearly 7 hours and were finally swept away at about 2 a.m. when the tank started sinking in the sand bed of the river. The following morning, while one body was recovered, the hunt for the remaining bodies continued during the next few days. As we all understand, the immediate concern would be to console the families for the irreparable loss of their loved ones. The 5 soldiers who died belong to different parts of the country. From their names that appeared in the different media outlets, the regiment appears to be an all-India mixed class unit. The army would have obviously ordered the mandatory court of inquiry to ascertain as to what exactly happened and to fix responsibility for any lapses in the accident. But since 5 valuable lives have been lost, I go back to the 3 or 4 basic questions that I raised at the start of this blog. Incidentally, this is not the first time such an accident has actually happened. Way back in 1976, a similar incident had happened in the eastern sector when a squadron of PT-76 tanks were crossing the Teesta River near Siliguri. The tank of the squadron commander and 2 more tanks got stuck as they sank in the riverbed. When all other efforts failed, the crew were rescued by a helicopter which was requisitioned. Now the question in the Shyok incident is, was a chopper with night flight capabilities not available in the Ladakh sector? I am informed that the advanced light helicopters, ALH, which are deployed in that area, do have night flying capability. So what happened? In a situation of this kind, what occurred in Siliguri in 1976 and in Ladakh last week, the helicopter was perhaps the only way the 5 soldiers could have been rescued. Incidentally, even those familiar with the PT-76 incident in 1976, the old-timers, recall how various other means to rescue the trapped soldiers had failed, including getting an elephant to pull the tank. Only a chopper could finally pull them out, bail them out. This is not the only question that comes to mind. Was the Shyok River crossing attempted with proper preparations? Unlike the PT-76 tank, which is a much lighter tank and has amphibious or had amphibious capabilities, the T-72 tank does not have amphibious capabilities. Even though deep fording in the river may not have been the aim or attempted, the commanders, I'm sure, would have been alive to the possibility of the water levels in the Shyok River suddenly rising. The Shyok, which originates from the Remo Glacier, not too far away, is notorious for sudden water gushes. Its name, Shyok, itself means river of death. In that area, the locals refer to this river as a river of sorrow. This area being a traditional trade route, there are scores of stories of how caravans were washed away in the Shyok River over centuries. Their skeletons and bones keep surfacing in the riverbed every now and then. Only the other day, I was reading the well-known mountaineer Harish Kapadia's account of his own experience on this trail. He calls it the Death Trail. He recounts that numerous teams got trapped while crossing Shyok River due to the rising waters, and that fording Shyok is a major problem. I've also read accounts by other mountaineers which talk about the notorious sandy bed of the Shyok due to desert terrain along some parts of it. The need to take extraordinary steps to safeguard men and equipment is emphasized by the fact that during the months of June, July, August, the summer months, the glaciers melt. This means the water levels in the rivers, especially the Shyok, can rise suddenly. I can't imagine that the above facts which come to a layman's mind like mine would not have occurred to our military commanders. So we all wait for the court of inquiry details as to what really happened. But I can't help wondering if the commanders who were on the spot had prepared the tanks for the river crossing in the event of the water rising suddenly. Leave alone the training of the crew on hydro simulators. Were the tanks, including this fateful tank, sealed properly to wade through the waters? Was it equipped with snorkels in the event of the tank getting underwater? What happened first? The tank getting filled up with water and then sinking, or the tank tracks getting stuck in the sand? Unfortunately, since the crew is no more, one may never know the exact details as to what happened. Questions would obviously be raised on the senior commanders who ordered the peacetime exercise, which involved crossing the river by tanks at this time of the year when the water rises suddenly. A retired lieutenant general told me how even during the war, when risk-taking is common and even appreciated, they usually take only calculated risks. Retired General Harvansh Singh recalled how in the 1971 war with Pakistan in the Dera Baba Nanak sector in Punjab, crossing of the Ravi River by tanks was abandoned. The risks of losing tank and manpower was far too much, he said. So hopefully, in this particular case, in the Shyok River incident case, all necessary precautions were taken, and this was but a freak accident. Meanwhile, one awaits a detailed statement from either the senior military commanders of the area or the Raksha Mantri on last week's tragic tank incident in Ladakh. After all, we have lost five of our trained soldiers. Thank you.